I'm Tony, and welcome to episode 7 of Elgin 2030, where things are about to get both nitty and gritty. We're continuing our talk about the fire department, but before I get all fanboy for them again, I have to bust their balls a little bit. Guys, I haven't been to every station yet, but I've been to at least one that had potholes in the back parking area and dumpsters that weren't in a corral. Now, I'm still working my way through the state of Illinois' life safety code guidelines and haven't gotten to business ordinances in Elgin yet, so I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure those two things are required by every other business in the city. Now, some may say this is a city responsibility, and the city will probably say, "Hey, city manager, hey, Tony! Whose responsibility? Fire department. Wait, what were you going to ask? Fire department. Thanks." So the city will probably put this on you guys anyway, and little things like this are most likely the only chips that city manager has left in the game. So I vote we put him out of the game and send him back to space camp or wherever the f*** Mayor Potter found this winter. Jinx put city manager in space. Now, let's talk about what's been ripped out of the fire department, starting with something relatively simple called mutual aid. Mutual aid is exactly what it sounds like. Our fire department works with neighboring departments to make sure that everybody is covered. If our guys are committed in one part of the city and something goes down in another part of the city, one of our neighboring fire departments will send guys or equipment to handle the event. This works the other way around as well. Now, keep in mind that we are the largest fire department in the area with 7 stations. South Elgin has 2 fire stations, as does West Dundee. Now, quick sidebar here. How come these tiny little villages have websites that make ours look like a bucket of crap? Have you ever tried to find something quickly on Elgin's website? I don't know who's in charge of the IT systems for the city, but they're either under the same scalpel as the fire department, or someone's got a serious case of look ma, I made a website. Additionally, IT guy, between you and me, the server response time to some satellite locations is a joke. Very 1995. I could make some ISDN jokes here, but I think I'd lose about half my audience. So I put in a Freedom of Information request to the city to find out how many times we've given and received mutual aid. In 2009, again, largest total department in the region, we gave mutual aid to surrounding villages a total of 39 times. Which sounds pretty good. That could have been 39 lives saved because our guys are on the ball. Unfortunately, we received mutual aid 75 times. 35 of those events alone came from South Elgin. Now, those numbers are amazing until you look at the numbers from January to April of this year. And so far, we have received 55 instances of mutual aid and given 26. That's 55 instances before the 4th of July and before we hit those long stretches of summer without rain. Of course, this year, Emperor Priggs will be able to monitor all those mutual aid calls on his police scanner. And I know if you're like me, you feel better knowing that the work of seasoned experts in the field of fire prevention, forensics, and physics are being watched over by a not-for-profit auctioneer with some Second City training under his belt. Yeah, I saw that question on Elginite, and I'm the one that let the cat out of the bag. On November 23rd of 2009, Priggs spent $233.25 of our tax dollars on a police scanner. Probably the last person in the f***ing universe that needs one. Probably the work of that crooked web slinger. You can't talk about that unless you had proof. Relax, Jameson. I'll email you the expense record if you want. So why? Why was mutual aid so high last year, and why are we trending now to dwarf that number from 2009? I wish I had an answer for you, except for a couple of things that are specifically new to the end of last year and the beginning of this one. In December of 2009, Sherman moved to Randall Road. And I know for a fact there's already been at least one call to them that we couldn't get to. In February of this year, the variance the city forced the fire department to sign reduced the number of firefighters on duty at any given moment. Scared? No? Well, has it occurred to anyone that it's 2010, the latest annual report on the city's website for the fire department is from 2007? It's a great report. I encourage everyone to look at it. But one of the striking facts from that report is how the percentage of almost all incidents is rising, and that was almost 3 years ago. Can we get some current info, city manager? Still not scared? Oh, that's cool. Let's talk about the state of inspections and prevention in the city of Elgin. In the last 10 years, the Elgin Fire Department has gone from 38 inspectors to less than 2. Now, the history lesson goes something like this. Fire department had all the inspectors. City decided they didn't have enough control over special favors and split the majority of inspection work into a new department called DOCA. Now, for the moment, let's forget about the cost overhead with creating a new department, which includes the cost of a new management structure, a new bureaucracy. DOCA was created to answer directly to those in power in the city government, and the fire department was left with fire and something called life safety code, which we'll be getting into in a later episode. Now, the important thing is that the city hamstrung the fire department when it comes to inspections, and even went further as to withhold information from the fire department. Look at this picture. Red dot. Scared yet? Let's zoom out a bit. Huh. How about a bit more? Ah, a building that has a red dot. Okay, screw this. YouTube has a 10-minute time limit. This is an overhead view of 20 Jefferson in Elgin, Illinois, which was listed in the 2004, it has a listing in the 2004 on the Illinois EPA website as a contaminated and hazardous site because of what was being stored there and the contamination that had leaked into the soil. Now, this is a site, by the way, that is still listed as an active site on the website. Time to get the press machine rolling, Mayor Potter, because what I'm about to get into here is your fault. This building still stands. Looks like a set from Thunderdome. It's the old Elgin Salvage Company, which was taken over by the city. Now, using some kind of new math or unthink, the city decided not only to keep dangerous chemicals there, but to keep this information from the fire department, a fact they weren't clued into until the day after a fire there in May of 2008. So the first horror here is that according to the EPA, our guys were exposed to several different forms of PCBs specifically because the city kept them in the dark. Now, PCBs are those sorts of chemicals that your body doesn't expel. Anyone my age will remember the fervor over DDT in the 70s. But the long and short of it is that being exposed to PCBs is almost exactly like being exposed to nuclear radiation. It will kill you if you're there long enough and can cause all sorts of health issues years after the initial exposure. But here's the scariest part of 20 Jefferson. Let's go back to the map. These houses are about 100 feet from what has been contaminated ground for the last 6 years. Now, I'm told that some of these houses also have vegetable gardens. Let's emphasize that point. There are residents in this city growing and eating vegetables in gardens that are less than 100 feet from the sites of PCB-contaminated earth that is still listed as active on the Illinois EPA site. Just look it up. 20 Jefferson, Elgin, Illinois. I spoke to the EPA this week. They have told me there has been at least one cleanup at the site, and it may need one more to finish it, but they won't know until the site is retested. The kicker here is that it's up to the city to have the site retested. And how good do you think our chances are of that? Now, the first thing the city might say is that water flows downhill. Those gardens are perfectly safe. Well, even if that's true, what about all the people who ride or walk down the bike path? Seriously, I couldn't create characters like you in fiction and have anyone believe them. But this is what happens when you hamstring your fire department and compromise safety to save a buck. Our guys don't have time to inspect. They don't have time to educate. They don't have time to patch holes in their parking lots. They don't have time to handle all the alarm calls they get, and they aren't given enough information by the city to protect their own health and safety, let alone ours. Scared yet? You are? Oh, but there's so much more. Tune in for episode 8, where we'll continue our talk about the fire protection in Elgin, Illinois. And I hope you'll come out to show your support of the Elgin Fire Museum and surrounding fire departments at the Firefighters Memorial being held on May 15th, that's this Saturday, at the Elgin Fire Museum at 533 St. Charles Street in Elgin. The museum is open to the public. They have a lot of many enhanced exhibits and a few new ones to see. I'll be there. If you see me, come up and say hi, and then give a firefighter a big, wet, sloppy kiss. You can also see me in the Elgin Short Play Festival March 28th through 30th with the Janus Theater Company, where for every 3 buckets of PCBs, you'll get 1 free. As always, you can reach me at tony@elgin2030.com. See you next time, Elgin.